Hey, so I'm Ryan Edwardson. Today I'm going to talk about how preaching is like disc golf. So if you're unfamiliar with disc golf, the goal is to start from a tee pad and get a disc into this basket, like so. You start usually a couple 100 feet away from the basket and you use various discs to get there. So similar to preaching, disc golf has a goal. The goal in preaching, one goal, is to preach a word on target. And that's kind of what you're trying to do with disc golf. So I'm going to engage Anna Carter Florence's Preaching as Testimony. And in there she talks about rooting ourselves in the text and context so much that we embody the word that we are preaching. Well, as you see here, the context is a very, very wooded course. This is a lot less open than what I'm used to playing. Likewise, some congregations are less open to a word than some congregations, that you might be used to preaching in. So you have to familiarize yourself with that. You have to use kind of different techniques, different throws, a different approach than you might otherwise. Which takes some getting used to. So I don't like to play in wooded courses like this, but I've learned a little bit over time. So I am preparing to play my first hole here, and I have analyzed the context. I can see that there's lots of potential for the word to rub against some other things, some other objects, for lots of obstacles to overcome. I've selected which type of word I'm going to kind of use. I'm going to use this fairway driver because it doesn't need to go super far. But yeah, I'm just kind of preparing to speak a word here, and we're gonna let it go, and we're gonna see how it's received, how it flies. So the next step after speaking your initial word, your first way in, is to find your disc. You have to find where your word landed, and then kind of analyze your context, your congregation, and see what your next movement's going to be, kind of based on where it is, where you're now sitting. That shot didn't go quite as well as I wanted. My first movement was so good that I just didn't pay enough attention on my way out. So I could have put a little more thought into that one, didn't quite make it. Okay, from here my way out is pretty much a gimme. I've been meandering around a little bit too long, and the congregation is ready for me to be done. Anna Carter Florence uses Paul Ricoeur's hermeneutics of testimony, and what she concludes from that is when you're preaching, you're not proclaiming absolute truth. What you're proclaiming are the glimpses of Christ that you see. So likewise, there is no one absolute truth way to approach this hole or this course in general. So this hole has a very difficult bend in it, and there's a certain way that I'm going to approach it, but there's no one right way to do it. I'm not sure where it landed. Oh God. There's a line of trees. This is stupid. On my opening move, I avoided obstacles that I anticipated. Where I landed, there's a whole new set of obstacles in front of me and getting the word on target. Oh no! So this didn't quite go in. Landing on top of the basket doesn't actually count. So maybe this is like going over the head of your congregation. I don't know, but I just have to tap in. So the preacher has different tools in their bag. Likewise, the disc golfer has different discs, different tools in their bag. And these different discs will do different things. So like this is my driver. This is often what I use as a way in. As you see, it has a thick rim, so it will go further, and it's a more stable disc than say like this is my putter. And see how this has such a narrow little rim. It won't go as far. So yeah, different discs have different purposes, which is really, really interesting. Likewise, different techniques that a preacher can use have different purposes for different situations. So like preaching, disc golf has kind of three main sets of movements. You have your way in, which is your tee shot, which I'm going to take here in a second. And then you have putting, which we've done some of, which is your way out. And then you have all the stuff in the middle. And that's really where you're responding to your context. You're really responding to where your word has landed. And that's where there's more variability and more creativity is necessary to really get your way through the sermon. So this hole is a little longer and is probably going to have more stuff in the middle. Well, my way in didn't go too great, so now I'm going to try to get back on track here and get back on my line. I overcorrected, so my problems are piling on top of each other. Now I'm going to throw. So this is a more complex word this time around. It's needed a few more movements, a few corrections along the way. But now we're finally ready to start approaching our way out. This is absurd. So part of preaching as testimony, as Anna Carter Florence points out, is part of that is memory. So you have to recognize those that came before you. So one of the best disc golfers ever is Ken Klimo, and he always has this word of advice when putting to eye a specific chain link. So I'm going to do that. So I've got one picked out that I'm aiming for. In both preaching and disc golf, there involves a letting go. When you preach, you say the word, you direct it, you have a direction you want it to go, then you let it go and let it be received. Also at disc golf, you let go of the disc, and you have a line planned, but you don't always know where it's going to go or how it's going to be received. So when you preach, you have to trust the Spirit. And the Spirit can guide it. It can really change the way that the word is received. You can't go out and physically control it, which is also how it is with disc golf. You can't go out and physically control the disc. You have to trust that the Spirit is going to guide it and let it be received well. It's not all up to you.